So here we have you met Miss Jones? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about a lot of the different things that we've talked about, tie it all together, and do some demonstrations. So, how do we analyze Have You Met Miss Jones? And what are some different ways that you can improvise over it? So many of the concepts that we've talked about apply here. So, first of all, we can see that we're in F major for most of the A section. Now, there's a few things that are a little bit different here. There's one thing right off the bat, we have this D7 chord. So D7 is not in F major. What I like to think about here is harmonic minor. Harmonic minor, as I've said, is very useful in navigating bebop chord changes. This is very similar to something that we talked about in the 12-bar blues, about how when you get to like a 6 chord that's a dominant 7, we can do the harmonic minor of the 2 chords. This is basically just, it's a 5 leading to the 2. It's the 5 of 2. So other than that, this whole A section is in F major. So how can we know that super quickly? Well, this is something that we talked about in a recent video about how to identify key centers super quickly. Some tricks that we see a dominant, this is backwards for me, by the way, making it a little bit more difficult. So we have a 2-5 right here. We see when you see a minor 7 chord followed by a dominant 7 chord, ask yourself, okay, that's probably a 2-5. Is it separated by a 4th? In this case, yes, it is. So similarly, when you see a minor chord, a minor 7 chord followed by another minor 7 chord, ask yourself, is it separated by a 4th? And if it is, we can play the same scale over these, and we can play the same scale over these, and that's the same as this scale here. This is the only chord that's a little bit different. So really all you have to worry about when you're improvising over this A section is that D7 chord. So G harmonic minor for that. This is the simplest approach. Of course, one thing that I've mentioned in some other videos is that when you see a dominant 7 chord, you can always play altered scales. So let me give you an example of that would sound like. I haven't been demonstrating. Let me demonstrate a little bit here. So we have F. So if we do harmonic minor, that's the first approach. The simplest approach is think G harmonic minor over that D7. And think F major for the rest of those chords there. So that's the first approach. And like I said, so there are so many other things that you can do. We can treat any dominant 7 chord as a altered scale. So what does that sound like? That's what that sounds like. So another option that you can do. Now let's talk about the bridge. Really, all that we're doing here, I mean, what you can just play this in a very simple way and it'll sound awesome because it's kind of complicated by default. We're moving through 3 different keys, a half step up from where the bridge was. Those keys are F sharp, D, and B flat. Sorry. So first we start with a 2-5 to B flat. Now, how do we know this is a 2-5? Again, minor 7 followed by a dominant 7. Is it separated by a 4th? Yes. So we know that's a 2-5, and it's a 2-5-1 to B flat major here. Now we have another minor 7 chord, dominant 7 chord, and major 7 chord. So a light bulb should be going off. Is this a minor? Is this a major 2-5-1? Are they separated by a 4th? 4th, 4th. Yes. Again, minor 7 chord followed by dominant 7 chord followed by a major 7 chord. Are they separated by a 4th? 4th, 4th, 4th. Yes, that's a major 2-5-1. Again, minor 7 chord, dominant 7 chord, major 7 chord. Are they separated by a 4th? 4th, 4th, 4th. Yes, that's another major 2-5-1. And then again, we have one more major 2-5-1 going back to F. So what I did that really fast, so let's summarize. We have B flat, and then we have G flat, and then we have D, and then we have back to G flat, and then back to F. So what's happening is we're modulating by thirds, kind of similar to what happens in giant steps. It's actually kind of a similar harmonic concept to giant steps. We start in B flat, and then we modulate to G flat, being down a third. And then we modulate down a third again to D. And then we modulate again to G flat. And then we just 2-5-1 back to F. So a lot of 2-5s. Really, if you can just stay in these keys as they happen, it's going to sound pretty nice. But of course, we can put altered scales over these dominant 7 chords if we wanted to. We could play sharp 11s over dominant 7 chords, or we could do sharp 11s over the 1 chords to spice it up, add some interesting chord tone extensions. All these concepts that we've talked about, they all apply. And then this is the last A. It's the way it's written here. It's actually very similar to the first A. We just have like a F to B flat 7. It's kind of similar to doing like F to like E7. E7 and B flat 7 are tritone substitutions, but the point is you're kind of you're adding. It's a more roundabout way of doing what we did in the first, where we go 5 of 2 to the 2 chord. Instead, we're just doing like here's the 5 of 2 to the 2 chord. Let's do 2-5 to the 2 chord, and before that we'll do a substitution of 5 of the 2-5 of the 2 chord. So it's actually really similar to what you have here, what's written. It looks complicated, but it's actually pretty similar. Again, this is a minor 2-5-1. We've talked about how to spot those. And this is kind of like a 5 of that 2-5-1. And then so it's really similar. You're basically in F, but we want to tonicize this 2 chord. And then we have a 3-6-2-5 to F, just to kind of have a more resolute, resounding turnaround at the top of the form to bring you back to the beginning. So main keys we have here are F, but hey, watch out for this chord right here. I think maybe G minor or D altered, G harmonic minor or D altered for that, but this is mostly just F. And then we have B flat, down a third to G flat, down a third to D flat, to G flat, and then we're back to F, 2-5 to F. So this is F minus this is G harmonic minor or something like that. This is F again. And this is B flat for the second ending. This is G flat. This is D. This is G flat. This is F. And then this is a little turnaround to the G minor. And then, so like we're back to F here, really. And then 3-6-2-5 to F. So it's a lot of chords, but it's mostly F. You could even just play D7 here, just like it was in the first A. But then we got a nice 2-5. So you can do some fancy 2-5 stuff here. You could just kind of play 5-1 while you're improvising when you have a turnaround like this. Or you could play blues. Another concept that I mentioned when we talked about 12-bar blues, I don't say this enough, but you can always play a blues scale. And it's just like I'm doing an F blues scale over, even though it's F major, you can always have that F blues available to you. So, hopefully you found that helpful. I'm curious to see if you are interested in these little deep dives. I'm going to do a little just demonstration a little bit. I'm just going to improvise a little bit and play some of these different concepts.